Good day. The evidence is that the climate is not changing. It's true that temperatures have been rising around the world in recent years. However, this trend is not uniform. Some areas have experienced cooling, while others have seen an increase in temperatures. This suggests that the climate is not actually changing. Furthermore, there is a lack of evidence that this warming trend is caused by human activity. In fact, many scientists believe that natural forces such as changes in the sun's energy output, ocean currents, and volcanic activity are more likely to be the cause of any temperature changes. Additionally, many of the predictions made by climate change alarmists have not come to pass. For example, despite the claims that sea levels would rise significantly, they have actually remained relatively stable over the last 100 years. Finally, a growing number of scientists are questioning the validity of the data used to support the climate change narrative. They argue that the data is too unreliable and that the conclusions drawn from it are not supported by the facts. In conclusion, the evidence that the climate is not changing is strong. We should not jump to conclusions based on incomplete or unreliable data.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Mike from Verity Daily. So today we have on this video all those who are into the weather, the climate, the changing, so to speak. I'm not an advocate of that religion, and I do call it a religion. I have a clip here of a gentleman, and I can't pronounce his name, but he gives it very clearly what the real agenda of the whole climate of this organization, the actual direction that these people are leading this planetary humanity into, correct? So let's take a look at this clip.
Let's just talk about the broader issue of the climate religion. Here's the thing. Really wake up to this. It has nothing to do with the climate. Okay, if it did, the people who are calling for the U.S. to stop production here should be really concerned if PetroChina is picking up those projects, because you know what? Methane leakage, which even if you subscribe to this religion, is 80 times worse for global warming than is even a unit of carbon dioxide. They don't talk about that. They just talk about carbon emissions. Methane leakage is worse in China than it.
Yeah, so to me, being an avid gardener and an individual that's into plants, I'm into the bacteria, I'm into everything from chickens to different types of fruit trees and gardening in general, grapes, vines, that type of thing. Also, I'm into, people call me strange, but I'm into worms, okay? I do a lot of composting, and what the greatest thing of composting is, and this is with me, and I don't generally follow the mainstream farming techniques. I kind of out on the fringe. There's a lot of things that I do that most people don't know about, or they're just starting to get into. And I've been into it for the last 15 years. And what I can tell you about carbon is you need to get carbon into the soil. That's where a thrives in, whether it's a tree or a small herb plant. What you can do with that type of thing is actually burn wood, right? And you get that carbon from that wood into the soil. There's a lot of other things that I'm going to present on my other channel with gardening that no one that I found is doing this yet. And this is new. A lot of this climate change that we're seeing, a lot of these major billionaires are buying farmland up. They're going to these carbon credits. That is the future. You're going to see trillionaires in the carbon credit. This is ESG down the road 10, 15 years from now. I mean, there's a whole, another video for that type of thing. But to actually get the carbon into the soil where the plant can use that is greater than trying to, eliminate it from the air, because we breathe out carbon, right? The plants, the trees take that carbon in. They give us oxygen. So I don't understand this whole the carbon situation, right? I just can't understand why people would want to take carbon out of the atmosphere. What happens is when one part of the earth is saturated with carbon, another part of the earth flourishes, right? To take that out of the atmosphere, to me, I can't it's a fallacy, right? It's a religion. And this guy goes on to tell you that.
Is here. So if you really cared about supposedly even the core tenet of your religion, your God, the climate, you would have cared about shifting that production to places like China because the projects are still proceeding. But
yeah, and to me, what this gentleman is talking about is that it seems like Western culture, Western governments are adapting this whole climate religion. They're going into electric vehicles and windmills and all these other alternative power, which is fine. I don't have an issue with it, but to actually see the destruction of a lithium mine, it just boggles me. I just can't figure that out. China and India aren't adapting these policies. They throw garbage into the air, into the sea, into rivers and on the land. It's just amazing to me. And we talked about on another video about this whole train derailment, these semi derailments spewing this garbage into the air, these chemicals. Who knows what ecological damage that's going to cause? If people were really concerned about the environment, this should be an all out from the top down, right? People should be out there doing something, clamoring for some assistance to this environmental. I mean, who knows what's going to happen to the plants, the soil, the water supply, or as it states, like this gentleman's telling you, there's a religion involved with it.
You don't. So that's clue number one. Here's clue number two. If you really cared that much about so-called carbon emissions, you would be a proponent of nuclear energy. And yet this ESG movement, Vanguard's ESG funds, for example, exclude nuclear energy companies from their ESG funds. The ESG movement is hostile to nuclear energy. What's going on there? That's the.
So you can Google these new nuclear reactors that can actually fit on a semi that can provide energy to areas that don't have energy or cities or industry. They're just amazing how they compacted them.
Second clue, okay? The problem with nuclear energy for this movement is not that it is too bad, but that it might be too good at solving their own, in my opinion, mostly made up problem. And so what does that tell you? The E in the ESG is really just a Trojan horse for the S, the social prong. The environmental prong is really just a Trojan horse, a vehicle, a vector for the social prong, where what this is about is global equity. It is about making the West and America in particular repay its sins of the past for having achieved greatness and its exceptionalist status and its success. Because what is this about? If they would have loved nuclear energy, but the problem with nuclear energy is that might just allow nations like America to continue to power themselves independently into the future. No. That's not what this agenda is about. This agenda is about shackling the West, shackling America in particular, so that the rest of the world can so-called catch up. And you know who's using that to advance their objective? You guessed it, none other than the CCP, who's laughing at us and the baitsuo, in their language, the useful idiot left in the United States to laugh their way to the top, because in these so-called climate negotiations, this is staggering. They still claim developing nation status.
That guy put it straight, I mean, in your face, no bones, no anything about it, just right frontal, So I don't have anything to add. The Chinese, and I don't look at the individual person. I look at who's running this government. They're ruthless. Their main point is to rule, okay? I don't know if it's a global rule. Who knows what it is? But they're imposing their will on all countries, right? And like I said earlier, is that they just want to push their agenda on everybody else. They want total control of the environment, the minerals, the supplies, everything that has eclipsed with that, right? And every country is buying into this because they have the technology, they have the power, and they have the wherewithal, the push to get these things done and get them done quickly. And I think that's all it is. I think you're looking at a country like China pushing their agenda on it, a lot of it into the universities. You see it a lot of it in politics, the payments involved, the money that's pushed to get what their agenda or non-agenda is. And I think that's all it is. I mean, sure, I'm into saving the environment. I am an advocate of don't throw your trash away. I tell everybody around me, and I push it on them, is that we don't need landfills. You could take all the garbage, put it in a central area, and just, clean it all up, find out what is metal, what's toxic, what's plastic, what can be used as compost, and you're finished. The metals can go to be refurbished. The plastics can be reused. Any kind of chemicals can be disposed of. It's just simple as that. Why are we trucking this stuff to landfills and producing methane gas? I mean, that, like he said, that's dangerous. I mean, that's more lethal to the environment than carbon. I mean, simple as that. But, well, I hope you guys found value in this video. If you would, I appreciate you subscribing and hitting that bell. That way you'll be notified of any video that comes out. And also, like this video, share it with your friends. I'd appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.